All right, so I don't know if you've heard, but the American president, Joe Biden, has proposed a gas tax holiday to give Americans the much needed reprieve at the pump. It has been brutal, right? Over the last few months, it has been brutal at the pump. And President Biden's approval rating has also been miserable, right? So he wants to give Americans some reprieve at the pump, so hopefully get favor from Americans, I'm sure. And I'm sure some of it is just want to give Americans some relief, right? So he's proposing this gas tax holiday, 3-month period of time, and what it'll come to is about 20 or 30 cents. The question is, how much is it going to cost? Is it worth the cost? And I think I saw somewhere that it's about $10 billion what the government collects in taxes on fuel. So when you don't have $10 billion coming in, you're going to eliminate that now. What goes sacrifice? Because you have to sacrifice when you don't have that $10 billion coming in. So what do you have to sacrifice? Those are the questions that I would have. Because it might not be worth it. Maybe we should just weather the storm. We've been going through this for some time right now. Some relief would be good, but maybe we should just weather the storm and go through this for now. Go through these gas prices. And these gas prices could be very prolonged. Matter of fact, this could be the new normal. I don't know. I certainly hope it's not the case, but it very well could be. I want to say this before I go any further with this. I voted for Joe Biden, right? And the reason why I voted for Joe Biden is because I thought that he would come in and basically do some of the same things that Trump was doing, but do it from a more unified stance. I thought Trump was divisive, and I thought that he did a good job, but he was a little bit too divisive for my taste, right? So I thought, not Trump, but Biden would come in and do a good job and also do a better job at unifying the country, because I think that was what we needed. Now, I don't necessarily think that we've gotten that. When we look back, I don't think that it's kind of worked out that way. I don't think Biden has done a terrible job, but I think he's handled some things terribly, at least the administration has. Inflation. Although, when I say handle it, I mean basically forecasting it, calling it what it was. I think for a while the Biden administration called inflation transitory. And it was pretty obvious that there was a whole lot of outrageously unnecessary printing of money that has gone on throughout the years, throughout different administrations. And you had a war, you had a pandemic, there was a whole lot of extra money put into the system, billions, trillions of dollars put into the system. So you could pretty much see that there were going to be excess dollars. So inflation was very likely. And Yellen was calling it, the Biden administration was calling it transitory. So I don't think that they were really had their eye on the ball. I think they, downplayed inflation, and it's turned out to be something that was much bigger than they expected. But I don't see how they didn't expect it to be severe inflation with everything that was going on. It was hard for me to see that one. So I think they really missed as far as inflation is concerned. I don't think that it was a bad idea when it comes down to what happened with the Keystone Pipeline. Everybody talks about how that would have impacted fuel, and that would have caused fuel to be much less than it is right now. But at what cost? You see, because I read an article that said that the Keystone Pipeline had leaked 12 different times. So you don't put a pipeline in the ground and don't think that at some point it's going to leak into your water supply. And you had farmers that were protesting the Keystone Pipeline. And when you see farmers protesting, that tells me they have a concern with what may happen to the food supply. So I pay attention to that. So I don't think the Keystone Pipeline decision by President Biden was a bad decision. When we look at the sanctions, the economic sanctions against Russia because of their invasion of Ukraine, that has caused some problems with gas prices as well, because that's one part of that sanction says that Russia will not import, at least America is not accepting any imports of oil and gas from Russia during this time. So not only does that hurt Russia, it hurts America as well, especially when we have a shortage of supply as it pertains to fuel. So the President of the United States the president of the superpower, the country that has the designation where its currency is the world currency, has a whole lot of responsibility. And sometimes he gets blamed for things that he cannot fix. He doesn't have the power to fix. And sometimes he gets credit for doing things that he didn't do. That comes with being the president of the superpower. That's how that goes. And since we are people that compare, and we compare different presidents, if we compare Trump's first 18 months in office to Joe Biden's first 18 months, then we can clearly see that Joe Biden is at the very least getting off to a slow start. There are three things that jump to mind that we weren't dealing with when Trump was in office. Number one, there was no war in Ukraine. Russia had not invaded Ukraine at that time. Number two, gas. We were not dealing with gas at $4 and $5 during Trump's presidency. I think gas was on average about $2.35 per gallon. Although I think Trump has exaggerated that a bit. I think he said it was about 50 cents better than that, $1.86, $1.85 or something like that. But I think it was more about $2.30 on average per gallon when he was in office. And that's a far cry from where we are right now. And last but not least, the third thing is inflation. We were not dealing with inflation at 8, almost 9%, 9% right now, I think it is, during Trump's presidency. Inflation ran on average at about 2 or 3%. So there could be an argument made that Trump or America was better under Trump than it currently is under Joe Biden, right? Now, it's not for those reasons necessarily, but I am not voting Democratic at the next election. I am going to vote Republican. Now, there's a reason for that, and the main reason for that is because I don't want my vote to be hijacked. Traditionally, black people usually vote Democratic, and I don't want to just automatically vote Democratic just because that's where our people have traditionally gone. I want to go for the best candidate, the candidate that I see, and I say, man, this person lines more up with what I want to see happen in America, right? And what I've realized is what I envision for America sometimes more aligns with what Democrats have to say. And sometimes it more aligns with Republicans have to say. So I'm not going to cut myself off to a party just because of some loyalty that I don't even have to that party. I don't have any loyalty to the Democratic Party. I kind of look at it like Trump said. He said something that really resonated with me. He said, what do you have to lose? He was talking to black people, black voters. What do you have to lose by voting Republican? You've been voting Democratic for years and years and years, and where has that gotten you when you really look at it? And that made sense to me. So I'm not just going to be a party of Democrats where I just vote for Democrats. I'm also going to go across the aisle and vote for Republicans sometimes. This time I've already decided. I am voting for a Republican. That's just how it's going to go. Now, I don't see myself voting for Trump. I don't see that right now. Who I see myself voting for is Pence. Pence was the guy, in my opinion, that stood up to Trump to say, I'm not going for those shenanigans. I'm not going for this idea that, oh, you lost and now we got to make an excuse for you to say it was stolen from you. I'm not going for that. And it took a man to do that, to stand up and do what was right. So for that reason, I'm leaning toward Pence, right? So I want to talk to you today about this gas tax. At the end of the day, what do you think about the gas tax? Will it help at all, or is it just a Band-Aid over a gaping wound? I kind of think that's what it is, just a Band-Aid over a big wound. We should spend more time on fixing what the problem is instead of just trying to provide some quick fix. Because 30 cents, which is about what it equates to, 20 to 30 cents, would be good, but let's fix the problem. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series, and I titled it How the Load Movement Process Works. It will give you a chance to come into the office with me, and you can watch me on video as I move loads, talk to shippers and carriers to give you a better understanding of how this business works before you come into it. And then if you're interested in learning about how much it's going to cost, a detailed list of the cost that comes with owning your own freight brokerage, I'll leave a free video right here. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.